Hi everyone, welcome to realityPaint. In this video we're going to explain a few changes that are in the latest update, and that's version 1.0.2.7. First off, we have somewhat of a new feature. The projection brush now sets up a fixed plane instead of a viewport plane, so you can navigate or resize the viewport without risking the reloaded snapshot from becoming out of sync. So let me show you what that means. Here in realityPaint, we're going to load our trusted toucan, and just give him a moment. Here we go. Now we're going to create a snapshot of this guy so we can do some editing in a 2D painting application by using the projection brush. So paint tool, projection brush, here we go, and we're going to take a snapshot and we're going to drop it onto the desktop. And I'll just move them in here so you can see. There we go. And I'm not actually going to edit it in a 2D painting application right now. So to illustrate the point, I'm just going to clear the maps, and I am going to reapply the projection as it was before. So let's go to first. That's what he looks like now. He's all white. Now we go to Paint Tools, Projection Brush, Reload Snapshot. Locate this projection.png file, and notice this projection info file. This retains the information about the viewport when the snapshot was taken. So let's go back here, and now if I just start painting in the viewport, we notice all those details start coming right back on as they were before. Alright, so this is the way it functioned before, nothing new here. However, if I decide to zoom out and even just say rotate a bit, you notice this this outline of this frame here. This is the plane of the viewport as it was when the snapshot was originally taken. So here we have a brush image. That's what's been reloaded, and this is a fixed plane. So if we push Shift V to get to the utility tools, brush tile setup, we notice now the type is a fixed plane, while the projection brush used to function as a viewport plane. Now the advantage of setting up as a fixed plane is that number one, we could rotate, not that we really want to rotate, but if you rotated a little bit or zoomed out and you decide you just want to continue painting on it, then you can. Everything still lines up as it was. While previously if you did this, nothing would line up properly in the viewport. You'd have to just go back to the original perspective that you started with the projection. Also, even if you didn't navigate but you resized the window ever so slightly like that, right, and then you started painting, it wouldn't line up properly. Well, now it still will, because now this projection is baked in with a fixed plane, so you can do whatever you want. You can rotate around, so on and so forth. You don't want to do too much; it'll get get confusing, but you can. It's no longer that sensitive. So, so yeah, that's a big change. And we have performance enhancements. By utilizing intelligent frame skipping, we now avoid the lag that was occurring sometimes while painting. So let me show you. I'll just demonstrate. I'll simulate the effect. So previously, when you're painting, you're like la da da da, and all of a sudden the cursor would stick for a bit, and then it would catch up, and it'd go like this. That's because the viewport was refreshing a little too much and wasn't given the mouse enough time to do its thing as well. So we intelligently sort of did some timing and figure out when to skip some frames in order to let that mouse continuously move nice and smooth. Okay, so let me see. Yes, and now we have some bug fixes and tweaks. Hotkeys will no longer be triggered while the mouse button is down. So if you push down and you start painting and you hit a hotkey, and if you can hear that, I think you can, nothing happens. But if you let go and hit the hotkey, something does happen. So that's just to prevent things from getting out of sync. When you're painting, nothing else should be happening. So that's just sort of some preventative medicine. We say hotkeys that select tools or presets or tool presets will no longer show the menu. So if you had right now I have I think the hotkey 1 is bound towards this paintbrush. So while previously if I hit the button 1, the menu would also come up, and I'd have to hit the spacebar to hide it again. I hit 1 and it would come up again, and then I'd have to hit the spacebar. Now by choosing a tool with the hotkey, the menu doesn't come up. You have to forcibly push it with the spacebar to make the menu come up. Because if you have 3 or 4 tools on your hotkeys and you want to flip between them, you don't want that menu popping up every time. So that was a slight oversight on our part with the last update, which we've corrected. So we also the next few issues have to do with Windows XP specifically. We removed the semi-transparent menu option since it was not working properly on some Windows XP systems. So if previously in the preferences there was an option to say semi-transparent menu, and that was on by default. And so what that allowed you to do is that you can see through this menu a little bit to see what's behind it, just to sort of, because the menu, it's the way this workflow is, hitting the space generally brings the menu over top. You kind of wanted to see a little bit what's behind there, but we removed it because it wasn't working properly on XP, and we wanted to have everything consistent across the different operating systems, and so it wasn't all that useful, so we took it out. And next we had tweaked some interface spacing for some text spacing in the interface to account for Windows XP's default font, and some general interface tidying. So these buttons were looking a little cramped. The text was just kind of right up to the edges of the buttons previously. So we tweaked everything so it looks good on both Windows XP and both Windows 7 and OS X. Yes, so it's cosmetic but important. And we also fixed an issue with holding the Alt key while clicking some interface elements such as brush image or brush shape icons, and that are these bad boys down here. So the default behavior is if you hold Alt and click on these, on the brush image, it'll clear the brush image. That's a quick way of clearing it instead of having to go to brush tip and saying clear brush image. Or if you had a different brush shape loaded, like this guy, and if you hold Alt and click, it'll return it to the default round circular brush. So there was a little issue where that Alt key wasn't always being picked up, so we corrected that as well. So, and one last issue was that we fixed an issue where the application was losing focus in some cases when the menu was being closed. So if we had a menu like this, and we had another window over here, and we went over, clicked on this, and then clicked on close, what would happen is this would pop back up again, and it would be a little annoying. Not, nothing critical, but anyway, once we figured out that is what was causing that, we fixed it, and it no longer does that. So now you go here, you close that, and as expected, the main application window is what gets the foreground. So yeah, those are all the changes we made in the latest updates. So as usual, you should go to Help, check for updates, and say yes when prompted, and allow the software to check for updates. But I'm going to say no right now. One last thing to note, since we're talking about Windows XP, there was an issue that was confusing a few of our customers, is that when the auto updater was checking, you get prompted, and this is what you see in Windows XP. And except for this is checked by default. So this comes up and it says which user account you want to use to run the program, because it's trying to run it in elevated privileges so it could modify the contents of your program files directory and hence update the software. But if this was checked and you click OK, then it's not allowed to write files in there, and it defeats the whole point of the auto updater. So it's a kind of annoying, but you have to uncheck this and click OK if you're still using Windows XP. And other than that, it should work exactly the same once you're past that point. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. We're going to have some much more videos to come. Please stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.